Welcome to Between Heaven and Earth, an internet radio talk show where we help you connect spirit and divine guidance. Lisa Kay, your host, brings you shows that can enhance and transform your life with tips and new ideas for more happiness, abundance, and better relationships. Lisa is an expert on intuition and can show you how to strengthen your inner guidance to empower yourself. Each show is positive and uplifting to inspire your day. Her guest speakers are specialists on self-help, positive thinking, spirituality, and conscious living. Be the best that you can be with Between Heaven and Earth, conscious living for your soul.
And angel blessings to everyone. Our show today is called Thinking Can Change Your Life. You are what you think, and that creates your life experience. When you contemplate certain divine ideas, they transform you in phenomenal ways. David Bennett wrote a book called A Voice as Old as Time, which is filled with these contemplations. The contemplations provide a view into your divine nature, and David uses them to develop a center of focus in meditation and during daily life. A Voice as Old as Time allows the reader to use contemplations to calmly plant the seeds of transformation designed to expand consciousness that can affect your daily living. David Bennett's book evolved from the daily contemplations he posts on his Facebook page, Dharma Talks, and from the work he does helping others on a path of spiritual transformation. Many times while posting reflections while writing his book, David found that these contemplations and life itself crisscrossed in unexpected ways. Other people that follow his daily contemplations reported similar experiences. Now, David Bennett has had three spiritually transformative experiences. In 1983, he drowned and had a near-death experience while he was the chief engineer of the ocean research vessel Aloha. He experienced a second transformative experience in 1994 in meditation in Sedona, Arizona, which is his childhood home. And then the third experience occurred in November in 2000 when he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer that metastasized into his spine, causing it to collapse. Now in remission and retired, his passion includes volunteering with experiencer groups and cancer survivors to help integrate their spiritually transformative experiences. David Bennett enjoys the retired life of a public speaker, author, teacher, energetic healer, and transformational life coach. He's had many appearances on radio and television, including Dr. Oz, Angels Among Us, NBC National News, and PBS. He publishes articles in numerous magazines, blogs, and papers. Welcome, David. What a wonderful background you have.
Wow. Hey, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you back. I always love talking with you and getting into all these wonderful stories that you have and just talking about spirituality, which is my favorite topic. So,
mine too.
And you've been there. You've been on the other side. And I guess through all these spiritually transformational experiences, you've evolved and have been able to come back and share some wisdom, which has evolved into this book, A Voice as Old as Time. So could you kind of give us a little bit of background on what the book is for? How would people use it?
Yeah, well, the word you used, evolved, is kind of how it all came about, because you have an experience, you have some form of spiritually transformative experience, and then there you are, okay. What do you do with that? And so for me, my guidance and my spiritual guidance kind of led me to a practice, a meditative practice of gratitude and stillness. But then it evolved into more of a conversation with Spirit, where Spirit would give me a contemplation that I could then just use to work on, to like squeeze all the juice out of the concept. And so maybe I would just keep that concept in mind, as I would go about my day. And that way I could, I would get to see how it would come into my life and how it would help myself, but not only myself, but a lot of times other people. Wow. So, and then
that's interesting. You had these conversations, you say, in meditation. What were those conversations like?
Oh yeah, well, spirit,
did they come to you? Do you see them in your meditation? How do you know it's them?
Okay, great question. Because at first, right after my first near-death experience, I didn't. I was getting this communication, but I didn't know how to deal with it.
And was that in meditation? Or was it during the day?
Sometimes it would just happen. Suddenly I would have these knowings that would come to me and things like that. It started out very oblique at first.
What does that mean by oblique?
Well, it was hard for me to determine where it was coming from because it wasn't something I'd studied. It wasn't something that I'd experienced in life, but suddenly I would know things.
You'd have a knowing.
Yeah.
So how do you know? And that's how you would know it wasn't you, because it was like, well, where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Yeah. Cause I had an enginer's mind, I looked at things kind of black and white, I didn't, if it wasn't fact, I really didn't subscribe to it. So this suddenly was a huge gray area for me that it started changing my whole worldview, because I would, as an engineer, I would test the truth or the validity of the information.
Do you remember anyone in particular?
Well, there was a couple. Like I knew, I was the chief engineer of the research vessel Aloha. You mentioned that in the intro. So I had the near-death experience while I was on board her. And one day after, I was in the engine room, and suddenly I had this knowing that there was a problem with this port side reduction gear. And so I was, and it was like, there's no indication whatsoever on any of the readings that there was a problem with this reduction gear. And but I called up the captain, told him I was going to trail this gear, and I was going to, and I needed to investigate a problem.
Did he think you were nuts?
Well, he was like, well, what's the problem? I said, well, there's a vibration in this bearing, blah, blah, blah. I gave him, all this stuff. And then I took it offline and I went to investigate, and sure enough, there was a problem. If we'd have kept it going and in a few more hours, we probably would have damaged it severely. And so,
wow.
I mean, so it was like one of those kind of, it's like, how did I know that, And so then, and things like that would happen to me. And sometimes it was of a personal nature with someone I was talking to or things like that. But people would ask, how do you know that?
Yeah.
And so at first I didn't trust it. And like I said, I would have to test it. But then also there was that little boy, that little judging part of myself that was saying, gosh, you can't talk about this because they'll think you're nuts. People will think you're crazy. So I would cover it up. I would say, oh, that comes with experience and things like that, so, and that.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. I knew about that gear because of experience, but, so you kind of go in and out of that self-doubt until you you have enough experiences.
That happens over and over again. And then say, well, hey, this is
real.
Yeah.
This is real. This is veridical information that I can use and that I can put into play in my life, And as things went on, I had a second experience. Then spirit, the way I experienced spirit was more of a conversation. Wasn't
and
until
now this is inside of you, right?
Inside of me, yes. Okay. And in my near-death experience, in my both experiences, I met my soul family in the light. And when I started having these knowings and these conversations, I call it spirit, but a lot of times it's conversations with my soul family, who I'm divinely interconnected with. And we all have this divine interconnection. It's just how we choose to reduce the veils that we live with in order to be able to hear them. You know?
And for you, it was a little stronger because you had your near-death experience?
Yeah, well, the near-death experience kind of blasted me open. It was kind of it was kind of a rude awakening in a way. Because I was an engineer. I was happy with my life. I didn't know about this other stuff, and suddenly I had this
hit you
interruption.
In the face.
Yeah, and I was, how do you deal with it? At first, it was a little scary. I wanted my old life back, you know.
Yeah. But now you've got this wonderful conversation with your soul family, and you're getting all this great insight, information, epiphanies, divine, you know, messages, whatever you want to call it, and here you are going, okay, now I can use this. So, did you have to train yourself to be able to actually, I don't know, make it happen or use it or get, you know, rather than being randomly hit with it? How did you get to the point where now it's useful for you?
Yeah, you know, just a great tip for people that are on that threshold. What I used was, because one of the contemplations early on, and was that inspiration is the doorway to spirit communication.
Ooh, I like that. That's page 55. Inspiration. Is that the one? I got the book right here.
You have the pages memorized. Oh my gosh.
No, yeah, right.
I'm not that mindful. Holy cow!
I got a little birdie. So is that it would be inspiration?
Yeah. Inspiration is the doorway to spirit communication. So I had this drive to do some silversmithing and things like that. Never read a book. I allowed this creative urge to blossom. And then I started to realize that a lot of this inspiration was actually spirit. Wow.
That's amazing. I love that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and inspiration, how you know, I want to know how I can do that. We're going to take a break and we'll come right back with David Bennett.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
If you've ever said, I do want it all. I do want happiness. I do want love. And I do desire the happily ever after fairy tale life, then this show is for you. Join me, Dana Nicole Brandon, for my internationally acclaimed show, Bridal Talk Radio, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, where I'll bring you the top experts in the fields of communication, money, relationships, finance, pleasure, play, travel, sexuality, parenting, real estate, adventure, comfort, care, passion, and love.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio, and we are speaking with David Bennett, who's had several near-death experiences, which were spiritually transformative for him. And after that, he has discovered a way to connect to his soul family and get spirit communication, which was really more, I guess, to whatever you want to call it, right, David? Higher consciousness, all that is, right? The divine. The
divine, oneness, universal consciousness. Yeah, there's so many titles for it.
And you were telling us about how you discovered the way to connect, communicate with your soul family was through inspiration, and you were beginning to tell us about silversmithing and how that helped you.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I don't just automatically dive into things. So it takes me a while to kind of get in the game.
And you had no experience in this before? No,
I had no experience in this. So I thought, I started seeing how this creativity would get, this inspiration would come, and it would show me how to do things that I had no idea of knowing.
So it wasn't just an image. It was actually explained to you how to.
Some of it was explained. Some of it I would see, like the steps that I needed to take in order to get, and that sort of thing. So it was very, very instructional in a lot of ways. But what it allowed me to do, it allowed me to discern what was that monkey voice, that chattery voice in the back of our heads that most of the time is judgmental or criticizing or judging or something like that. And it allowed me to hear this more pure side of myself, what I call my true nature, and connect to that higher consciousness. And by that way, I was able to communicate with my soul family.
It was like a stepping stone.
Yeah, it was like a stepping stone.
A way to practice.
So, yeah, exactly. So that I could recognize when it was spirit communication and not just my good old-fashioned monkey mind.
And how did your silversmithing turn out?
It was pretty good. It amazed me because I would get this like these designs for some sculptures and for some jewelry and things like that, and I'd say, "Oh, nobody is ever going to want that," It's like, why, But it would almost be pestery. It would be like just nonstop. Wouldn't leave me alone until I would actually do it and create it and make it. And then I would, you've got stuff. What are you going to do with it? So I started going to little fairs and events, and I had a friend who was doing some wire wrapping and stuff, and so we all went together, and people would come and go, "Oh my God, I've been looking for that," and I was like, "Holy cow," it's like, I didn't know I made this for you, So it was a lot of lessons.
That's amazing.
You can see there's like layers upon layers of lessons. Okay,
I love that. That's amazing. So how did you implement this? When you say inspiration helped you make these pieces of art, how do you do that?
Well, everyone has something that they're creative with,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's language, whether it's numbers, whether it's if it's more physical like dance or song, or there's something that we all are creative with.
I guess, because I'm thinking from my standpoint, and I'm again that engineer, left brain person who I think for most of my life I've always thought, well, I'm just not that artist. I'm not that artistic person. I couldn't put two pieces of clothes together, and color is horrible for me. I just in fact, my husband's way much better at it than I am, and I'll say, well, this looks good together, right? And he goes, oh no. But I just attribute that to my not being artistic, and so for someone like me, I guess you'd have to kind of try different things, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The easiest way for me to discern what I could be creative about was when I would be doing something that made my heart sing. When my heart was glad, then
that's really good.
Yeah, I knew that would be
when you were excited about it, happy about it, heart was glad, meaning, wow, this is fun.
Very much. Then you know you could go down, explore that path, see where it takes you.
And you don't have to be good, I guess, right? I mean, because I'm hearing, I'm being inspired because I'm hearing what I think listeners are saying. Oh, well, yeah, but I tried painting. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but my painting was terrible.
Yeah, but you had fun. I mean, that's what it's all about, is our own self-growth,
Yeah, right. So that's a way everybody could do it, right? To, I guess, learn how to be inspired and do the creativity.
I think it's because then you start to, because where do you think that inspiration comes from?
Where does it come from?
It's spirit guidance. It's, it's your connection to your higher consciousness.
And I guess, and then also, like you're saying, go and have fun and not judge it.
Yeah, exactly. And just work with it, go with it, see where it takes you, see where it leads. And sometimes it may, it may not go anywhere for you. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, what you brought up, don't judge it. Just, have fun with it.
Just, one of the things I discovered that I really enjoy doing is when I write my newsletter to send out for my email list, I will pick pictures for it. And I've just learned, and I guess maybe this was spirit inspired, was, pick the pictures that feel good. Because I want, when you open the letter, I want you to feel good about it. So I pick things that make me feel good. And then I start to find that I really enjoy looking at the photographs. And, photographs don't have words, though you can kind of assign words to it. But I've really consciously just let myself, as you said, see what feels good to you, right? What really makes your heart glad, and pick those. And then I started to get feedback that people say, wow, I love the way your newsletters look. And it wasn't so much to get the feedback, it was just because it was fun. And again, being the quote non-artistic person, I was a little surprised.
That I do this almost very similar thing every morning in my morning reflections. After I get through with my gratitudes and my stillness, and then I go through that reflective process, I then take it and I want to post what I've just experienced kind of online. And I try to distill it down to a sentence or two or less. And then what I do is I go and I collect pictures from like Pinterest.
Oh, and your pictures are amazing.
And all this stuff, and then it's so funny. Maybe 6 weeks ago, I collected a picture that just, wow, that really is really a cool picture. And I just put it in a folder on my laptop. And then when I do the reflections, I go through my folder and I look through and it's like, oh, wow, that picture really says the same thing that my reflection this morning says.
Interesting.
And so then I attach my words to the image, and I throw them up on, on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and all over, and Google
Dharma
Plus,
Talk.
And, everywhere. I'll probably be doing some more. I need to get more into Instagram and all these other.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do, but it's nice to be able to share those with others. So what is the process? And which kind of gets back to the book. I guess there's the inspiration connecting to your soul family, and they give you contemplations, which you reflect on. Is that the process?
Yeah. What helps me to get it because reflection is a state of meditation, but it's a different kind of meditation.
How so?
Well, like in a lot of traditional meditation, you focus on trying to clear your mind and absent of thought. A contemplation or reflection, I like to call it reflection a lot of times, is more of a detailed thought or a concept, or maybe something that you need to explore. Like maybe you're feeling frustrated. Well, what's that frustration? What is that? Where does it come from? And so take that and then, find something that would work to balance whatever it is you need to work on. And then contemplate on that or focus on that.
Well, let's do one, if you don't mind. Let's do one. There's one that I had mentioned to you that I'd like to do, and this is right out of the book. It's true. It's authentic being, true being, And so if that were I guess that is the contemplation. And then how would I reflect on that?
How would you reflect on that?
Yeah, how would I?
Well, what I do, I have a process.
Yeah.
I do my gratitude. Instead of inspiration these days, I use gratitude to get myself into a more connection with my divine, because I really feel strongly about gratitude. In fact, I have one section in the book that talks about gratitude.
Okay.
And yeah. And then that kind of puts me in that meditative space. And then I go into like stillness where I'm just breathing. And then I start to communicate with my soul family. So you want to talk about
your authenticity,
and that sort of thing. So that would be my focus. Is what does it feel like to be authentic?
Ooh, yeah.
What does that?
How do I know? Right? How do I know?
Yeah. How do I experience that? How do I bring that into my life? So these would be the questions.
I like that. How do I bring it into my life?
Yeah, and so authenticity is, and that's a great subject. It's one that we all, because we were brought up in children and in our society, we want people to think that we're this certain type of individual,
Yeah, we have fear of criticism.
Sure, or maybe we want to emulate our heroes or something, and we want to be like that. And the thing is that's good, but are we being honest with ourselves? Are we that person that we're trying to make everyone think we are, And I like to think of those as veils. A lot of times we create these personas and we wear them like a cloak, and
yes.
But we're not being authentic.
Yes, absolutely. We're not being authentic. And I think that's what really is important. And the message that I've been getting from Earth Angels have been telling me, how important it is. So that's one of the things I'm glad we're talking about. When we come back from break, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and maybe we'll talk about gratitude and how you listeners can use these contemplations and reflections to help your life. We'll be right back.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she is feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTimes Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
And we're back. You're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio, and I'm Lisa Kay, and you are tuned in to the OMTimes Radio Network. And we're talking to David Bennett. And David, let's go to where people can connect with you and get the book and find out more or read or listen to these contemplations and these reflections. So where can they reach you?
Certainly. Well, the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online. You can go to order it at any of your local bookstores or anything in any English-speaking country. The title of the book is A Voice as Old as Time, Contemplations for Spiritual Transformation. And or if you want like a signed copy, you can go to Spiritual Simplicity Books, and you'll see there. My wife and I both have published books there that, and you can click on and order it directly from me through there if you want to sign.
Yes, and she's got a wonderful book on meditation too. Which
yes,
is
she
great.
does,
and that kind of goes hand in hand. Soul Soothers.
So for different people on different, because meditation is so different. There's so many ways to achieve the benefits of meditation or contemplation. And so, Cindy's book is for those people that are so busy in life.
And there are a lot of those people.
I'm
one of them.
that just can't carve out time.
Yeah. And your website
go
ahead.
Or have the wherewithal to sit for 15, 20, 30 an hour.
Yes.
I mean, that's difficult for a lot of people.
It is. So your website is dharmatalks.com?
Dharmatalks.com. Now that website you can still go there and get books, and it describes my books in more detail there. But it also shows the other services that I offer, where I actually do transformational life coaching, which is it's a life coaching where I help people with spiritually transformative experiences or that are facing terminal illness to allow them to, kind of come into their being.
Can you make a spiritually transformative experience happen?
Sure you can.
And can you help people do that?
Me, that's not my strength.
No? Okay.
No. That's not my job.
But if you've had one, then you can go... Yeah.
Yes, but you know what? There's millions of experiencers out there who have had experiences that, and it's kind of rocked their world, and they're trying to get their feet back underneath them and achieve that balance again. And it's hard sometimes,
Yeah, I'm
myself,
sure.
that's what I went through.
Yeah.
And so I've taken the training, become certified so that I can help other people through that transitional period. Also, I do what I call a white light energetic healing, which is because I had that stage 4 lung cancer at the top of the show.
That was amazing. And you cured yourself.
Well, I used, it's techniques that Spirit gave me to, and it's a hands-on type of healing energy work that I do. Yeah, so in my website at Dharma Talks, I talk a lot more about those things.
Yeah, so people can go there, and I'll spell it for you as Dharma, DHARMA. So that's Dharma Talks, TALKS.com. dharmatalks.com. And I have for your book, the website is voiceasoldastime.com.
Correct.
Right. And you're going to be at the Rose Heart Center in East Syracuse, New York?
Next week, yes.
Next week, October 16th. So if anybody's out there in East Syracuse, New York, go to the Rose Heart Center and on the 16th, and you'll be able to see David and doing his book signing and a talk. Is there a time? Do you have a time for that?
There's the book release party is at 4:00 to 7:00. At 7:00, I'll do a little 1-hour workshop on contemplation and based on the book, basically.
Oh, cool. You should do a webinar.
Yeah, that's a great
webinar.
idea.
Then I can join. Syracuse is a little far for me, but yeah, I'd love that. So you know that. Well, David, think about that, and we'll get a lot of people out there. I'm sure to tune in. And also, you're going to be at the Natural Living Expo November 14th and 15th in Marlborough, Massachusetts. So if you're in Massachusetts on that weekend, the 14th and 15th of November, you can connect with David there.
And with you.
Yes, and I'm going to be there as well. So with Cindy, the co-author of our new book, Grow Your Spiritual Business. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. The weekend after that, I'll be in Cincinnati. I'll be giving another workshop there at the Victory of Light Expo.
Great. So Victory of Light, Cincinnati, Ohio. The weekend after?
Yeah, the weekend after Marlborough.
1st, 22nd of November. Yeah, so if you're out there in Cincinnati, go see David. And Cindy's going to be there too, right?
Yep, Cindy will be there. We're both giving talks, and Cindy will be doing some readings. I'll be...
all over.
All over, yes.
Great. That's awesome. So I'm going to move on to a couple other things here. We have a sponsor today, and her name is Dara Steinberg. And she would like to share with you what she does. And I'll just share that with you. Would you like to experience clarity in your life's direction? Have you lost your creative spark? Do you lack energy, feel overwhelmed or anxious? Well, Dara Steinberg is an intuitive clairvoyant healer who is passionate about helping people feel clear, calm, and excited about their direction in life. So get the support you need to savor life today. Make an appointment for an energy reading and healing with Dara. And you can do that by visiting her website at heartofwisdomhealing.com. That's heartofwisdomhealing.com. And I'll share with you what I'm doing. As we said earlier, I'm going to be with David and Cindy at the Natural Living Expo in Marlborough, Massachusetts, November 14th and 15th. And we are going to talk about our book, The 5 Key Secrets to Getting Your Spiritual Business Started. And that's going to be really fun. And also in November, the weekend before, I believe, November 7th and 8th, I am going to give, this is a once-a-year workshop that I give. In person, it's Developing Your Intuition Level 1 certification class. And if you come, you will get certified as a spiritual intuitive. And you'll find out how to interpret what those flashes in your vision are, what those buzzing of feelings that you're getting, the intuition, how to tell if your intuition is coming to you, if you're making it up, or if it's real. And we talk about how to connect your angels and your guides, and we also talk about psychic energy and how to work with it and what it is. So we'll do that all in one weekend, and I've had many students go through it, and they really have gone from the point of, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know if this is really working, to wow, they're getting all kinds of wonderful intuitive messages. And also, if you take the class, you get a bunch of bonuses, and people are excited about that. You will get the Angel Connection online class, which is a $291 value. And you can get that for free, and a published handbook of class notes, and so as well as some Q&A conference calls with me directly after the workshop, so that you can stay in tune and hone your skills. And all that adds up to over about $500 worth of bonuses that you're going to get for free. And we're going to do this in Tarrytown on the Hudson River. It's a beautiful, beautiful place up on the river at the Doubletree Hotel. And again, that's November 7th and 8th. So if you go to my website, lmk88.com/press, you can find out more there and sign up. Or you can sign up for my newsletter and get some free intuition tips and also free exercises on how to develop your intuition and work with it at lmk88.com. So there we have it for our announcements today. So I wanted to go back, David, and I had a question here. I wrote it down.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, because so many things going on. So we were talking about doing the reflections and the contemplations, and when you're reflecting on these contemplations, you can ask yourself questions like, for example, we talked about authenticity and how do I bring it back into my life, how to bring authenticity into my life. So are these questions things that you ask yourself? Are you asking your spirit guide, your soul family? How does that work?
Well, when you're in that quiet place, you're connected to that deep inner part of yourself. In fact, a lot of people don't realize that within us, there's that core of being, and it's a place where our personality and human nature touches the absolute love of oneness. This is a place sometimes, called our divine essence, and our divine essence draws its energy and power from the universal oneness. Mm-hmm. And when our essence feels cut off, it withers. And when we reconnect, our essence comes alive and we grow spiritually. So what I've done in the book is I've kind of broken the book up into 44 chapters with different subjects, because we're all at different points in our path, in our journey towards spiritual maturity. And this way you can pick a subject, and maybe there's just one sentence, or maybe there's a paragraph. I've kind of built each, there's 4 reflections for each subject. And I kind of built it so that it's kind of a construct. And as you read it, sometimes it'll just take you away. And so you kind of want a place where you can be yourself and be, and then look at, one of the subjects that maybe you feel like, this is where I'm at right now. I need to work on this. Mm-hmm. And acknowledge, the inner development and the process that happens within you as you're working with this thought, with this, and you can even create a mantra from it, and use that in your day to be able to bring it out of that quiet center, your divine essence, and then bring it into your day to day so you can walk around with it, So
the reflections is something that you're doing not just when you're sitting, but as you're going through life. Yeah.
Especially when the challenges and the obstacles present themselves, that's when the contemplation sometimes can make us step outside of the circumstances. Because when we're all wrapped up in the circumstances, we're not dealing with the higher levels of our being. We're not focused on it. We're wrapped up in the circumstances, which carry us away on these passion-filled adventures that most of the time don't do much good for us.
No, and I think that's why we need to, what these contemplations are great for. So when we come back, maybe we'll take one and read a little bit to our audience and show how to work with it. We'll be right back.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM-FM.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio. And we're talking about the book, A Voice as Old as Time, Contemplations for Spiritual Transformation. So if you would like to have a transformative experience spiritually, this is the book. And we're here with David Bennett, who wrote the book. And David, what I wanted to do is pick one of these contemplations and kind of share it with our listeners, and maybe you could walk us through how we can use the contemplation reflections. So, do you have one that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. I'd like to let's do one that maybe someone who's just kind of stepping out on the spiritual path. They're they're at that part where they really want to bring more spirituality into their life. And it sounds counterintuitive, but I really do feel strongly that some of the very first steps on that path is coming to get to know yourself. And so I'd like to do one on acceptance. Because acceptance of ourself is critical in our spiritual development. Once we can accept that this is who we are right here, right now, and yes, we may have some work to do, but we can accept that this is who we are, and then that we can work on ourselves and we can move forward in a more positive and empowering way, then we're going to be creating the most powerful and wonderful future that ever can be. So I like to start off with acceptance a lot of times.
Acceptance is a good one. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think what we struggle with, just what pops up in my head, is self-criticism, because and judgment. I know that some people, and I think maybe all of us to a certain extent, we, as adults, we have the little voice in our head, which maybe came from our parents. You're doing that wrong. That's not the right. Why did you do that? And that's not the right thing. And you need to do this. And that becomes identified, right?
Oh yeah, I carried around. My mother used to call me bass backwards all the time.
Oh. Well, you could accept that and think, that could be a good thing. Actually, I have to tell you, David, my husband does, when he reads a magazine, he reads it backwards.
Does he?
Oh yeah. And we always laugh about that. I was like, why are you doing that? And he's like, why not?
True.
And he says it's a better way. He knows, and he'll read textbooks that way too. He says, well, because I want to know where we're going. So that's not a bad thing.
No. I mean, it sounds like a great system that he's developed that helps him move, and that's what it's all about. So
yeah, exactly. So how do we do that? So let's work with
Okay. So what, like in the book, each reflection in the book has an italicized sentence at the very top, which is kind of leads you into this reflection. Mm-hmm. And so, like this one here, the very first sentence that's italicized at the top says, "When we expand our idea of who we are and broaden the scope of our awareness, it leads us to challenge other limitations."
When we expand our idea of who we are and broaden the scope of our awareness. Interesting. It leads us to challenge other limitations. So help us with that.
Well, a lot of times we have a thought of ourselves as being, like you said, such maybe some judgments or things like that, which are limiting thoughts. So what we need to do is broaden our scope of awareness. That there's many times in our day-to-day that we touch people and we're not aware of it. We're not even aware. Yeah. Just in our expression and the way we deal with, maybe the clerk was a little rude during checking out. So that energy that they just exchanged with us, a lot of times we reflect that back, Well, maybe if we broaden the scope of our awareness, we can wish them, wow, they're having a tough day, and I'll just send a little light their way. And totally changes the scope of how we're moving forward. it leads us to, because we have these limitations that they're self-imposed, so if someone throws that energy at me, a lot of times we either put up a wall, or that's the first thing we do is put up a wall, and or we are not prepared and it hits us right in the heart, and then we go right into shutdown or doubt, or anger, frustration, all of those things.
Defensiveness,
Yeah. But when we fill our heart with loving intention, when somebody throws some of that stuff, it doesn't penetrate, because we know that we are this incredible being that's full of love. And so we can accept that my core being is made of love. And, that negative, that stuff that's coming at me, it's not going to hurt me. So later on in the reflection in the book, I say, do not underestimate yourself. Put everything you have into this life. So as we learn to move forward and we put as much into life as we can, and that could be different for each and every, how you experience love and how you experience that expansive, broad, divine essence that's in your core is unique to each and every one. So like when I talk to my, so a lot of people will feel it in the top of their head. Maybe healers a lot of times will feel it in the palm of their hands. Myself, I go into the light through my heart. That's my journey. That's my doorway. So it's different for everyone, and you don't judge it. You just say, oh, that's where I feel. When I feel that happiness, that welling of energy that is pure joy, pure love, where do I experience it? And like we were talking earlier about, creativity, a lot of times while you're doing that creative exercise, where do you feel that creativity? Where does it manifest on you physically? And that's a key to know how, okay, where is this core part of myself? Because
which is really you.
Which is really me. Yes, really you. We all have that within us. And
who wouldn't want to accept that?
Exactly.
Because
once you touch that, it's so much easier to accept. Okay, yeah, I have some issues. I put my left foot forward instead of my right. Well,
and know what? Who knows?
And why judge it? Why am I even judging that?
Exactly.
I do that?
Who knows? I like to think that we're not always in control of everything, and if all that is, God, whatever you want to call it, is us and is experiencing and expressing itself through us, then what we do is really not completely under our control, right? That we're going through experiences because for whatever reason, and I like to think that there's a bigger picture in it that we don't really have full grasp of, and that there are things that we are doing and that we are experiencing that is just part of the process and the path that we need to go through because of whatever it is, whether it's a bigger plan, maybe we're being a certain way for someone else's growth as well, and also we're being a certain way so that we can grow and learn, okay, that's something that I need, that I don't want to be, right?
Exactly. And when we get pulled away, there's a way to come back. It's just breathe. Just breathe. And because I explain this even in the same reflection, I say that, every breath is an opportunity to share and to teach. And with every breath, celebrate the joy of living in this moment of ever-expanding change.
Right. Being in that, right. Because we have those moments that we can take advantage of to make
right. And because we are co-creators in this divine universe. And we've heard about, the law of attraction and all of that. Well, the core part of that is that we are co-creators in this world in which we live. And so, but we have to, in order to move our creativity and our creation forward the best way to do it is to connect with our essence,
yes,
who we are.
And, and I think along with that, connecting and accepting it is what it is. I like this one that you have in here. In fact, this was one that stood out in me when I first read the book. Synchronistically enough, change is the nature of life. Grasping and holding on to something is not the usual way of nature. And, we hang on to who we are. And I'm great at hanging on to stuff. I feel like, okay, I got to hang on. And so I'm not a hoarder, but I do keep certain things. And it's hard for me to let it go. And I realized, and we do that with ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to change because that's who I am, but change is the nature of life. Grasping and holding on to something is not the usual way of nature. So nature itself is constantly changing, and if we're part of that, we have to allow ourselves to change.
Yeah, because once you accept who you are and you become a little more tolerant and you start working with your truth and you work down this path, you're going to see that there are moments when you're in that flow, and the flow is change.
And you can be in the flow. Yes.
Yes.
The flow is change. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Because if you're hanging on to who you are, what you think you are, what you were, then you can't allow the flow to be whatever it is, because you don't know what it is.
Yeah, and you have to allow the flow to be whatever it manifests.
Absolutely. Well, David, we're actually at the end.
Oh no!
I know. Yeah, we're not done yet. You got to come back.
I'd love to come back.
Please come back.
I love our conversation.
Let's keep going. I could do. You're one of the only guests I have that I keep forgetting to look at the clock, and we're shutting off. You've been listening to Between Heaven and Earth. Come back next week. Angel blessings to everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.